I wanted a purpose. And the funny question is that Coach Rita would challenge us on is I say, hey, I want a purpose. And she says, well, who said you didn't have one? And I was like, what? But I feel like I don't. I feel like I don't matter and I don't have a purpose. And she says, well, who said that? Because nobody actually told me that. I didn't know what it was like to be able to experience me counting on me. Like, I didn't know what it was like for me to come through for me, to be someone that I could count on so that I could build trust with my wife, that she could count on me, and then I could build trust with my kids that they would be okay with me leading this family. Because like it or not, your kids have got to make the decision to follow you or not. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. And your wife has to do the same, whether she's going to follow the path that you are on or she's going to go a different direction. What's the use in having an awesome wife? What's the use in having children if I'm not going to make the best of every opportunity to be here for them? And I wasn't doing that because I was headed towards congestive heart failure. It's in my family. It was very, very unhealthy. On record, it was like 382. Mm-hmm. So why would people take me serious if I didn't take me serious enough to get my health under control? And there are people who are out there that are struggling. They're trying to do the right thing and they are failing and they feel lost. So if that's you, how can I help you? I can help you. I've been there before. I had to get help for myself. Thank God for PJ Bowen. She changed my life forever. Mm-hmm. You seen The Sandlot? Forever. PJ Bowen in Lancaster, California, changed my life forever. Okay? I wanted emotional control. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to be a better man. And of course, you're going to have to ask yourself, what does that look like? Now, I have an exercise coming for you in a future episode that's going to help you dial that in. I wanted to respect myself. I wanted to trust myself. I wanted to be someone that I could count on. I wanted a purpose. I wanted to matter. I wanted more, and I wanted better sex. I wanted joy, and I wanted to put fun back in my marriage. I wanted to be a great dad, and I wanted confidence. So as we close out this episode, I want to ask you, listener, what do you want? Welcome back to another episode of Man vs. Marriage. It is I, your humble servant, the Q-Dog, in the Moran family studio with my lovely wife, who I've got to get on camera here because I failed to set that up. But here she is. There she is. Miss America, my lovely wife, Jeannie Moran. Jeannie, what's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot right now.
That's a lie. That felt like Maury Povich right there. And that's a lie. All right. Welcome back to an episode that has to do with where do I start? And we are here to give you that episode 2 vibe, my people. So I want to make sure you know, Quincy at mvsmpodcast.com. That is where it is. And look, just a quick tidbit for the show. If anything in this show has a spark within you, or you learned something, or it's something that you feel is valuable, will you please like the program? Will you please subscribe, submit a review, and then share it? Because we want to grow this platform in order to have a positive impact on more and more relationships across the world. So I'm asking you to do that. Thank you. Now, let's move along to this episode. This episode is titled, What Do You Want? What do I want? That's a loaded question. Now, going back to episode 1, just a quick review, you need to focus on what you can affect. And what is that? That is your attitude. That is your effort. That is your actions. So we gave you that episode. If you did not go to Where Do I Start, episode 1, then please, after I get through saying this, pause and go back and listen to that first. Not only listen to that, but there's a bonus episode that goes along with that in order to help you along with some of the homework. Then come back to me on episode 2 and let's pick up where you left off. So for those of you that haven't listened to episode 2, we bid you adieu for now, and we will talk to you soon. Go check it out. Thank you. For the rest of you who have gotten episode 1 and the bonus and you've got the homework, what the heck do you think about this new path? Do you hate me? That's okay. You're going to love me after a while. Now, let's talk about what do you want? Now, part of understanding what you want is knowing what you have. And we challenged you before on the first episode to identify where you are. That will start to create the picture of what you have. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to make this hard-hitting episode as quick as possible, but also as effective as possible, because we want you spending more time in the business, like getting after it. So I'm going to talk to you about what I wanted. Jeannie's going to talk to you a little bit about what this conversation looks like when she's talking to wives out there, because I think it's important for you husbands to know what challenges your wives go through when they are trying this. Now, if you are a wife listening to the program or a woman, you'll gain some great insight from Jeannie, and then I hope you'll get some great insight from me as you understand how your husband sort of thinks. And with that, I'm going to start right here with, for me, what did I want? Like I say, that was a loaded question. Jeannie and I went through this course at church called Living Life by Design. It opened me up to the world, and it gave me some understanding. It was a brand new thought that who I am is not who I have to be. And I didn't recognize that until I started to move along in this process. And that was the genesis for me, was coming to the realization a few years later that I'm not the same man that I was. And the great news is I don't have to be that guy anymore. So this opened up a world for me where I started to redefine who I am. But if you don't have various destination spots on the map, then you don't have a vision for where it is that you're going. We're going to ask you a question. The question is, what does it look like? What does that look like? Taking responsibility. Episode 1, what does that look like? And then the homework. What did that look like? Your gratitude. You better be doing it every day. Because that's what's going to help redefine your path and where you are. It's going to keep encouraging you and building hope. So now, when I started to figure out what I wanted, and this was all very new and raw in the process, I had to figure. One of the things I wanted for sure, because there were people in my life that would just cause me to come unhinged. Like I would lose my temper, and I hated it. I never felt good about it any time that I ever did it. So I was like, you know what? I want to be the gatekeeper of my emotions. I have to have emotional control. What do I need to do to figure that out? Because I no longer want your actions to dictate my attitude, because I was way too hot and cold. And I still have those times today. I still have issues with my attitude sometimes. But I have transformed in many areas of my life, and that is the metamorpho process of transforming. It is the metamorphosis, if you will. So I wanted to be healthy. And at the time I took this challenge on, I was well over 360 pounds. I was like 380 pounds, a humongous man. I wanted to be a better man in general. I didn't know what it was like to be able to experience me counting on me. Like, I didn't know what it was like for me to come through for me, to be someone that I could count on so that I could build trust with my wife, that she could count on me, and then I could build trust with my kids that they would be okay with me leading this family. Because like it or not, your kids have got to make the decision to follow you or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. And your wife has to do the same, whether she's going to follow the path that you are on or she's going to go a different direction. So I wanted to be a better man. Here's another thing that's really important. I wanted to have some sense of respect for myself because I did not respect who I was. Now, there's plenty of nuances to come along with that. And I'll just tell you the truth. The time where I was very heavy as opposed to being more healthy, people did treat me differently. They did.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're obese, people look at you like you're automatically lazy. Now it's hard not to appear that way because it's just hard to move your body around. But I was anything but that. And so I saw as I got healthier, people treated me differently. Do I have animosity towards them? No, I don't. Because I wasn't willing to do what was necessary to take care of me. And so I'm thankful for the people that kind of spoke up to me and were like, hey, dude. Now, there were some very obscene comments that I did not feel good about. So it would make me emotional and I would eat my emotions. And it got worse. But what's the use in having an awesome wife? What's the use in having children if I'm not going to make the best of every opportunity to be here for them? And I wasn't doing that because I was headed towards congestive heart failure. It's in my family. It was very, very unhealthy. I don't, like right now, at like 234 pounds, that's where I'm sitting today. If I put two 50-pound dumbbells in my hand, like one in each hand, and walked around, I can do that, but I don't know how I did that. And that was only 100 pounds. So you'd still have to add 50 pounds more to me to equal what my high, like right around my highest weight was. On record, it was like 382. Mm-hmm. So why would people take me serious if I didn't take me serious enough to get my health under control? And there are people who are out there that are struggling. They're trying to do the right thing and they are failing and they feel lost. So if that's you, how can I help you? I can help you. I've been there before. I had to get help for myself. Thank God for PJ Bowen. She changed my life forever. Mm-hmm. You seen The Sandlot? Forever. PJ Bowen in Lancaster, California, changed my life forever. She awakened the athlete in me that had gotten depressed and dormant, and I didn't know still existed. Thank God for her. She was a pivotal turning point in my life. And you need someone there for you as well, who's going to call your spade a spade and tell you when you are full of crap.
Salsa.
The salsa talk. The hogwash talk. Mm-hmm. The 15 M&Ms extravaganza.
Buzzwords. Here are all the buzzwords that Quincy had.
Man, it got dicey. It got dicey. I have talked to her about coming on this show, and I need to get her on this show.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, she changed my life, and she had a major impact on Jeannie's life, and she had a major impact on our family's life. That's what she does. She's a professional when it comes to health and wellness. And look, we don't agree on my particular diet right now, but that doesn't mean she won't help me. That doesn't mean that she won't coach me and talk to me about it. Even after us moving to Texas, she still has a presence in my life. She still has a presence in my head.
That is a voice you can't get rid of. Even if you wanted to, you would never get rid of that voice. That voice is just.
And so she started. She worked with Jeannie and I through some of the toughest times in our life, with kids in the hospital, etc. And I am so thankful for her. But I wanted to be healthy, and so I needed to go to an expert. And I was sending Jeannie in because I was busy at work, and she was like, basically, she was like, Get this guy in here. I don't know what she said, but
I'm not talking to you. If he wants to get his life right and he's ready to do something, then you tell him to come talk to me himself.
All right. That sounds like PJ.
That's pretty much the extent of the conversation.
So I wanted to respect myself. I wanted to trust myself. I wanted to be someone that I could count on. I wanted a purpose. And the funny question is that Coach Rita would challenge us on is I say, hey, I want a purpose. And she says, well, who said you didn't have one? And I was like, what? But I feel like I don't. I feel like I don't matter and I don't have a purpose. And she says, well, who said that? Because nobody actually told me that. It's like, boom. All these people who care about us and invested in us. Can't wait to be a millionaire. I wanted to matter. I just mentioned that. And of course, Coach Rita would say, well, who said you don't? I wanted more and I wanted better sex in my life. I enjoy that with my wife and I wanted to be better at it. And these things that come before this, they influence that. They affect that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted joy and fun back in my marriage. That's one of the things that attracted Jeannie to me the most. It was not my devilishly handsome exterior. I was a walking Kool-Aid man. I had dimples and I had a great personality and I was fun. I exude joy. And at a certain point in our life, I wanted to do that. And I remember my friend Pete at work, he's like, dude, you've got to be the funnest dad in the world. And quietly and mentally, I took a step back and I was like, I'm not the funnest dad in the world. It affected me deeply. Never told you about that, Pete. But thank you for saying that. It located me. And so I wanted to be a great dad. I wanted to have a great marriage. I wanted confidence. And so with all these examples, I'm here to ask you again, what do you want? And look, if you try to take this question to your wife and you say, hey, Quincy Moran, the purveyor of Man versus Marriage, a world famous podcast, told me I get to decide what I want. And so I'm going to give you the litany of things that I want. You're misusing it. You lost it. Don't be a loser, because that's bullcrap. Now, I don't think you would be doing that, but I just want to warn those guys out there or those wives out there who might weaponize what I'm trying to say. I hope you hear the heart in the matter is that in order to when you get on a journey and you are going somewhere, you must have a roadmap to get there. You must have directions. You must know. You're not going to know everything that happens because there's traffic on the road, but you need to know where you're going. And that's why I want you to answer these questions. What do I want? Now, honey, I want to turn it over to you and ask you that question, or ask you to talk to us about what that looks like when you're talking to a wife and like sort of how that conversation goes. And then we will wrap up this episode after a short little discussion.
Well, depending on the personality you're dealing with, like say me, it was very overwhelming. The first time we went through this exercise, it was very overwhelming because I instantly started categorizing what do I want with what specifically. Are we talking about the kids? Are we talking about our marriage? Are we talking about me? Are we talking about finances? Are we talking about like life and what are we talking about? So first things first, there may be a freak out. Let her process for a second, because when I ask people on calls, I have to tell them, what do you want out of what we're doing? And I minimize it to just what we're doing. You came to me for this, for coaching, to talk about, getting better, doing better. What is it you want? And oftentimes with the women that we've been coaching, it comes out, I want to be heard. I feel like I've lost my voice. I've lost my identity. I'm just Quincy's wife. Or for me, I'm that mom. I'm that mom with 8 kids. I'm that mom with multiples. I'm that mom with the kids with autism. I'm that mom that pisses off the school district. I had a reputation, but nobody really knew who I was. So that tends to be very common among the women that we've been working with, because I'm your wife. I'm the mother. I may have a career. I may have, other things, church or what have you. but who am I, the woman, me, myself?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you have to ask them, okay, well, who do you want to be? That's a hard question
Mm-hmm.
because there's multiple hats involved. Okay, but who is the core person underneath? Oftentimes they want to learn to communicate better. I'm trying to communicate that this is how I feel about things, and they feel like they're being shut down, or they feel like they're being told what they should feel, or it's being, washed to the wayside, or maybe they're just not telling you at all because they don't know how to voice what they feel.
Right.
That's a lot of it as well. Is a lot of times they're looking for a way to communicate better, so that there's no possible chance that there's a misunderstanding. That's the main goal. For me, I don't know. I wanted to not be depressed anymore. I wanted to not be angry anymore. I was frustrated. We had a lot going on and I could not find ground. I felt like we were just kind of floating in water and I could not put my feet down anywhere. And it took us a little bit of time to figure out I was buried under depression.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know I was buried under depression. I mean, I knew I was upset, but I didn't know that the level I was at was actually pretty serious.
Mm-hmm.
It took somebody else talking me through some things and helping me discover some things before I knew what I was dealing with. What I wanted, I didn't have a clear path. Quincy can tell you a lot of times when we have these big questions, the first thing I say is, I really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because I don't want to give you an answer. It is, I have to process a lot to get to that answer. And a lot of it tends to be because I have to get past the emotion of where I am now and how I feel. Where do I want to be and what do I want to feel like? And what is the process getting there? Because I will go through that whole scenario before I decide. And it's not because I don't want to do the work. I have to know what I'm looking at. I have to have an idea of, am I doing this by myself? Is this something that you're going to support me in? Is this something that I'm going to need outside help with? There's a lot that goes into how I break things down to come up with answers.
Yeah.
So if for some reason the response you get is, I don't know, don't take it personal. Understand that she may need to process. It's like when you say, how can I help you? It might take me a minute. Sometimes it's taken me days to get past what can I do on my own and what am I just not really good at. And sometimes it's figuring out what is Quincy's strength versus what's my strength.
Correct.
There are places in this journey where, like with PJ, Quincy knew what he wanted to do and he had a general idea, but PJ is an expert in her field. She has several licenses and different years of experience in what it was that he was trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to find someone with the scope of knowledge and the experience to help get you on the track where you need to go. And it had to be someone who could speak to you in a way that you would get it.
That's correct.
Because I can tell you there are people that they can't take the way that I talk. They can't take, I am a very blunt, very straightforward person. I don't pull punches. I don't sugarcoat. If you can't handle that, I am not your coach, period. But I am that way with everybody. That's the difference in what do you want? Do you want to be somebody who is okay with this group of people, but then I can be this way with this group of people? Are you, because then you're divided. You're not a whole person. You're kind of shifting gears everywhere you go to fit around you. Does that make sense?
No, it does. And one of the important things that I want to discuss with you and with the listener when it comes to what do you want, I mean, effectively, I had to create a value system. I had to create my non-negotiables, and I had to define what that looks like.
But that all comes after you determine what do you want. Because here's what happens. When you figure out what you want, now you got to figure out, what am I willing to do to get there? We're not there yet. The listener's not there yet. We've got to locate. We've already located where you are. Now we're looking at what you want. Once we get there, then we start discovering, do you need an expert to help you? Do you need, I'll just use the gym because it's the simplest thing that we can and the easiest example. When I started working out again, I suck at meal planning and putting things together for myself. For you, no problem. For me, yeah, but I don't like to eat that stuff. Or I'm real big about, I just don't eat very often. I had to find someone to give me a lined out plan to say, this is what you do. These are the times that you do it. Don't deviate. I'm good with a playbook. I got the rules. I got what I'm supposed to be doing. I can follow that. But I had to have someone do that for me, because I will screw it up. I will have too many questions. I'll have too many negotiable conversations with myself and justify why I could do this instead of that. But once I had the rules set, I'm golden. I just follow the rules. That's it. Just do what's right. When it came to working out, I'm not good with machines. I don't know what I need to be working out. I was going to follow what you were doing, but you're a guy. You're not trying to build the same muscle the same way I am. I don't want to be huge. I just want to be fit and comfortable.
Yeah, that's all I want now.
So it's you're going to be looking at similar things when you both finally come to what you want, but you're going to come to it at a different method. As long as you understand, because we don't think alike.
And that's part of what I want to talk about is that, most typically at a very high average, I would say, women are built with an operating system on emotion. That's the way that most women are wired. Now, I know there are those you will take me to task and says, well, my sister or my mother or my wife is this. That's why I say most. Men, most typically, are built on a system of logic. That's what makes the union so good. When they are together, they are healthy. They tend to balance each other out. And there have been times in our family's life where there have been very difficult situations that we wanted to approach emotionally. However, I had to lead Jeannie in the idea that this is a logical moment. And this is the protocol that is important for us to follow, because acting emotionally could set a fire in a particular situation. And so she will come to me when I get begrudgy about Christmas and finances, and she will bring the emotional side to me and talk about making memories and tradition. And so she helps to lead me sometimes. But in its most healthy state, these two things work together as a yin and a yang. And so you will find your feet. Now, as you go through what you want, it is going to start to build the framework of your value system. I'm not asking you to go build your value system right now. I'm saying that this effectively helped me do that. And then the value system I brought to Jeannie, and we started to take that to our family. And then when there's a question, and the question is, well, what about this? You go in the mirror, or the benchmark is your value system. So I want to encourage you in that. As you build this, it doesn't have to be perfect. You are finding a place to start. So with that, I'm going to ask you the man, what do you want? You as a man of faith, what do you want? You as a man of health and vitality, what do you want? You as a husband, as a father, you as a professional. Start thinking along those lines, because you already have an idea of what it is you have. I've set you up for success that way with the previous exercises to say, I thought, but I have, or I'm feeling X, Y, or Z. So that starts to build the idea of what you have. And then I also challenged you to have some gratitude. So you're in a process of locating what you have, and you are now defining what you want. And look, in a year from now, this list might be different. It might look different. But for now, I really want to encourage you to go back. And as we go to end this episode, your homework is to define, to the best of your ability, what do you want? Remember my principle. Kiss it. Keep it super simple. You don't have to get too in depth. Here was my list once again to help give you some direction. Okay? I wanted emotional control. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to be a better man. And of course, you're going to have to ask yourself, What does that look like? Now, I have an exercise coming for you in a future episode that's going to help you dial that in. I wanted to respect myself. I wanted to trust myself. I wanted to be someone that I could count on. I wanted a purpose. I wanted to matter. I wanted more, and I wanted better sex. I wanted joy, and I wanted to put fun back in my marriage. I wanted to be a great dad, and I wanted confidence. So as we close out this episode, I want to ask you, listener, what do you want? What do you want? If you get to the point where you're getting so granular and then you want to take these expectations to your wife and think that she should live them, it's the wrong path. You're getting off on the wrong exit. Please keep it super simple, just like I did, for the sake of this process, because it's going to grow. This list in your value system is going to grow. But we are starting something that is life-changing for you in a dynamic way. And I couldn't be happier for you to be along this journey. So with that, now I want you to get to work. Okay? Answer the question. What do I want? Remember, focus on what you can affect. Your attitude, your effort, and your actions. And that is all for now. For Jeannie Moran, I am Quincy Moran, a.k.a. the Q Dog. And this is Man vs. Marriage, the podcast.